8 kids, 1 teacher, 1 bus, 50 billion dead, and the magic school bus tried to hide it. This is you, and inside you is a murder, one that has a greater death toll in a day than the population of our entire planet over 6 times. And the magic school bus is about to enter the war zone and discover the truth it hid from why that murder is somehow needed, the horrifying result if it fails, the foreign invaders inside your body that you've been at war with since birth, and more. Because all of this is what you really see if you take a trip through the human body. Let me explain. Windows bathed in blood. Our magic school bus is drowning itself down a river of cells' corpses. 50 to 70 billion dead a day, so much that a blink would wipe out most US states off the map. And our victims are, well, just cells. But why? Well, it all comes down to that murder, which is really a natural process in the body, better known as apoptosis. This process carries out our mass execution of age, damage, or just not healthy cells, all to keep you alive. And while it sounds violent, it's way better than the 2 alternatives. Necrosis. This is the evil twin of apoptosis, where a cell still dies because it's rotting, but not from our executor. This leads to a somehow more violent death, where the cell explodes. Now, why is this bad? In the end, it's still dying, which is the same as apoptosis. Why go through the 50 billion executions all to prevent this? Well, that explosion sprays toxic waste, which gets on tissue, and that triggers a reaction that kills the tissue. So while very extreme, apoptosis is far better for your body than letting the cells go off like bombs. Though it does very much paint a picture for our magic school bus, where they're driving through mass executions, and now landmines going off on every corner. But that is not the worst thing related to apoptosis they're gonna see. No, I said there were 2 bad results if it doesn't work. The result of a cell stopping its execution. And in this small but deadly situation, the cell miraculously doesn't die. It divides, heals itself over and over into endless division, spreading its morph sickness like a virus through your body. It is truly the most unnatural, but in that natural result, and why apoptosis is needed. For the opposite of death is not life, but a cancer. But all of that is not nearly as insane as the next thing our school bus will drive through. The occupation. There is a war inside you. One waged between what is truly you and the trillions of cells pretending to be you. For your body is 57% foreign bacteria, with only 30 trillion of your cells being yours. And the magic school bus is about to drive straight into this conflict, and oh god, is that not good. See, there are many things inside you, as your body is a microbiome for microscopic life, and not just bacteria. There's also fungi that live in you permanently, archaea, which are weird third domains of life that live in your gut, literal ancient virus DNA that is attached to the human genome and affected us for millions of years. And altogether, a weight that to put on a real scale would be 2 to 5 pounds of just foreign organisms. And well, as you may assume, this isn't a peaceful thing. I meant war for a reason. Now, while yes, there are certain microbes in your body where mutual understanding between the foreign and native organisms exists, for most of them, there really aren't. So what does the magic school bus see while driving? Well, depending on where, they could see Canada albicans, which are a normal harmless thing, but people with immune diseases, which I actually will talk about later, and how that visually looks with the magic school bus, can die from this seemingly harmless bacteria. Or streptococcus. This thing lives in your throat. When you come in contact with something that changes the conditions, you can get strep throat, scarlet fever, and more. And because of all of this, your gut alone contains 80% of your body's immune cells, because this is where the foreign bacteria, cells, and just stuff ends up piling, and potential war is very frequent. On the note of piling, what happens when our school bus takes a bit of a drop into the stomach and finds itself in literal acid? Well, let me explain. This is a chamber of chemical compounds so deadly it eats through metal, and the magic school bus just dropped into it with our class inside. So, what happens? Well, the show didn't really mention this part, being that stomach acid runs at about 1.5 to 3.5 pH, which is the same as battery acid. Now, why is this? Well, that's because it's stronger in a concentrated output. But that makes me wonder, how is it not eating through you? There is a literal pile of deadly acid inside you, breaking down whatever you put in it, and is strong enough to easily destroy our bus in minutes, but not the fleshy walls that surround it? Well, yeah, because those fleshy walls are a layer of mucus that will only the width of a human hair act as a real barrier between you and the acid. This works because it produces a chemical that neutralizes the pH to a non-corrosive level when it actually touches the wall, meaning it can break down food but not you. But that still isn't gonna help the school bus. No, we're still really screwed. The bus is literally sitting in boiling deadly acid. Its paint is blistering off as the body melts away, and the kids are most likely boiling inside. And while sure, we don't know what the magic school bus is made of, we know what real buses are. See, aluminum dissolves in this acid in minutes, and while yes, steel takes longer, it still will eventually dissolve. Now, glass is tricky because it's surprisingly resistant, but the seals holding it together to the bus will go away, making the glass useless as it eventually dissolves. I will say, whoever this poor body is that the bus chose to invade is not doing well with metal and glass hanging in their stomach. But that's not the most horrifying part. See, in the stomach, there is something more insane than the stomach acid. Something half the global population is hosting. It's called H. pylori. This is a bacteria that evolved to survive stomach acid by producing an enzyme that neutralizes it, which, as I said, is the thing that keeps you from eating yourself. And it lives there for not days or weeks, but decades. Now, it is usually silent, meaning nothing really bad happens, but if it does damage those stomach linings, you'll experience intense pain, burning, and other not so fun side effects, all because of some little bacteria in your stomach. Speaking of a little bacteria, the magic school bus should be gone, but it is magic, so let's say it survives and moves on through the body, carrying on this field trip whose whole point is to paint the human body as a glorious hero, like the immune system. Except in this real body, she'll be showing these kids some very terrifying horrors. Let me explain. Now, before we continue, I want to peel back the curtain for you, the audience. See, these videos are really just my excuse to talk about science on the internet. Using things we all grew up with is an easy way to get into it. Just whether it's if you can kill Inspector Gadget, or the weird power suits of Wildcrats, they all have underlining cool science to teach. So if you enjoy that, please subscribe and just finish the video. It helps out a lot. Either way, back to the horrors. Imagine trying to design a security system able to detect every possible intruder. Wow, it would need to be very sensitive, and eventually it would make mistakes. It'd pick up on things that aren't dangerous, like wind movement, or even yourself passing in and out. But if you make it less sensitive, you're gonna get a break-in. Well, the immune system has the same dilemma, and while it can have safeguards and processes in place to help, with the amount of cells and bacteria and just stuff inside you, it'll never be truly enough. And for almost 50 million Americans, this causes an autoimmune disease. And well, let's say the person our magic school bus is flying through is in that 50 million. What does it actually look like? Well, the immune system works like this. Using something called molecular recognition, where it learns the fingerprints, basically of pathogens, it destroys anything that matches. This also is used to make sure good things like self-tissue don't get destroyed. Now, there are two safeguards in place to prevent friendly fire. The first layer is called zymic selection, generation. Immune cells, known as T cells, are created in huge numbers, but before they're released to the bloodstream, they have to go through a boot camp. This training process inside an organ is where they are exposed to your own body's tissue. If they react too strongly to the tissue, they're gonna get killed, training the collective to not fire on yourself. This is done to a point that 95% of all newly created T cells get killed in this process. But this training isn't perfect. Some reactive cells inevitably slip through. That's where the second layer comes in. Specialized immune cells called regulatory T cells, or Tregs, act like permanent supervisors. Their job is to simply monitor the immune system and suppress any cells that begin attacking healthy tissue. They constantly work together to prevent the immune system from turning against yourself. But when that security system fails, your body turns on itself and creates autoimmune diseases. These can truly range in exactly how your body is turning on itself, from lupus to arthritis, and they all have unique issues, reasons, and ways to help, and not once is this ever mentioned in the Magic School Bus when they talk about the immune system, even though, honestly, it's one of the craziest things going on inside hundreds of millions of people. But it's not the craziest, no. There is something going on in all of us and all that came before. Something that predates you and me and spans back millions of years to our early existence. Something you know maybe as a powerhouse, but really is an ancient parasite. Let me explain. 2 billion years ago, you came in contact with an invader, mitochondria. And once it entered you, it was trapped for eternity, coiled in your cells, and slowly becoming one with the rest. And now, somehow, you couldn't live without it. Why? Well, like I said, about 2 billion years ago, an alpha protobacterium was engulfed by an archaeal host cell. Now, this is common in evolutionary history, but the difference is 99% of the time, the bacteria is digested and destroyed, but this time it lived. And over the next billion years, it transferred 1,500 of its own genes to the host cell nucleus, as eventually there was no option for independence. Instead, it chose integration. Now today, that nucleus and host cell is you, and the mitochondria retains only 37 genes of its own DNA. Everything else it needs to survive is your nuclear DNA, and your own cells need it to survive. But what proof of all of this is there really anyway? Well, how about we send our magic school bus to the mitochondria and have it figure it out? Because really, it all lies in what the mitochondria looks like. See, for one, mitochondria has its own unique small DNA, being a circular genome, exactly like bacteria. This is literally the only thing in your body with circular DNA. It also does not divide like cells. It splits exactly down the middle like bacteria. But if you still somehow don't believe me, antibiotics that kill bacteria literally damage the mitochondria, as they are structured the same way, both possessing ribosomes and also, like I've said, have unique to themselves DNA. All of this proves this powerhouse is really an ancient parasite, an invading bacteria that got trapped and stuck around for billions of years. And while the magic school bus may have the same fate if it can't get out of this human, being stuck and slowly becoming one with the most horrifying place in the universe, you. If you liked this video, I'm sure you liked this one covering the horrors of using abilities of crazy cool animals without the defenses, or this playlist with all my wonderful science content. Either way, bye!